Hey, Sound Engraver here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another SuperCollider demo. This is probably the last video on FM synthesis. I'll go ahead and set up a playlist for that specific topic in SuperCollider. And I would love to end with a bang, but I will say that what I'm about to show you is not that impressive as far as sound and music is concerned, but it is experimentation and it is functional, and maybe it inspires you to continue exploring different sounds in the process. So what am I about to introduce to you? It is FM synthesis with live processing. So a live signal like my voice going into a microphone you can't see, but it's there. I see it. So my voice going into the microphone, and then that being the input signal to trigger FM. So we have this pretty substantial synth def, and of course, it's subject to change depending on parameters. If you want a sine wave control or a triangle wave control, we have our ratio values, set to 1 as a default value, but of course that is also subject to change. We have our standard envelope for our frequency modulatory values, and our standard envelope for the actual sound. The triggering of the sound from the attack, the adding the decay, sustain, and release here. And then also our release node. Now, this is the previous video, the gate argument that I had set up last week, where we do need a release node value to hold at the sustain point indefinitely. And then, after we feel like triggering it and releasing the value, the synth will release itself and we should be good to go. So all this is to show you this gate argument with our release node here. If you want live processing to sustain indefinitely, this is the way to do it. So let's go ahead and evaluate and let's see what sounds are generated. Might be fun. We'll see. And I've got this synth def here, or not synth def, rather syntax here, for if you'd like to prepare a recording of sounds. SuperCollider will file it for the inside a folder, a particular folder, which you can open and load into something like Audacity. So there's the code for that, but I'm not going to go ahead and record it. I'm just going to go ahead and play it. Let's see what this sounds like. All right, so testing 1, 2, 3. It's got a little bit of chipmunk, demented robot, a little bit. Maybe we can amp up the control value to something like 100. Oh, actually, before I reevaluate this code, let's go ahead and evaluate the gate, set the gate to 0, and then we should have a release of maybe between 4 and 12 seconds. So let's see what that looks like. And the little white box will disappear. And what I've noticed too, and it could depend on the code, the sound actually will go away pretty much as right when the gate closes. Pretty much when you evaluate this, set the gate to a non-positive value, and that affects that kind of robotic sound that you had heard, that chipmunk sound that you had heard, goes away almost instantaneously. Now, that I think would be just depending on the values you give this synth def, but just be aware of that. So you might even hear no effects even before the synth is released. So let's go ahead and try that again. And we'll do this a few times. No reverb, just the naked FM. Oh, see? That sounds pretty much the same. And why don't we actually go between 4 and 8 and then maybe give this some higher values. All right, testing 1, 2, 3. It's there. It works. It's functional. It's all right. You can tell I'm not that impressed. Now, yeah, there it goes. Testing 1, 2, 3, and there we go. I do want to try some lower values. Okay, so it is continuing until the synth is released and then it releases. So give or take, just if you're doing something like a live processing performance, just, you know, when you set that gate to 0, just be mindful that it could go quite quickly. And I have a fairly short release value between, you know, 4 and 12 seconds. Let's go lower. I wanted to set up a reverb synth, but my code was a little bit disorganized, and so I just left it out. But maybe one day I'll just present a video without speaking or anything and try some reverb and delay with this. Testing 1, 2, 3. Now I can't really hear it myself, but maybe the playback is a little bit better. I could hear a little bit of it, but we'll see. And then maybe I should sing. Well, that's like more sing-song voice. As per usual, I did not warm up on that. So you get the idea. It's the input signal, you know, it only triggers that sound, that playback that you hear once you put in some live input like voice. So nothing fancy, nothing particularly interesting. I think I came up with much more beautiful sounds, much more interesting sounds with, you know, sound files. But the idea of putting it in a live effects as live effects, you know, you can use this as a live effects of some kind. So I might mess with the violin, you know, plucking or bowing, whatever the case is, maybe in a future video. So that is adding a live signal. So just a real quick thing before we close, let's go ahead and see our signal. And pretty much what you need for live processing for a mic setup is your signal here. You can name it however you want, but the signal, we will need the sound in UGen. And this makes it, of course, stereo as opposed to mono. And then we would scale it with our carrier frequency, or our carrier variable there, and our envelope, and then we put it through pan 2. I mean, that's kind of the standard that I do for the sound in rather. And I think that's it. So we'll just, you know, we'll try one more for the road. Hopefully it's impressive. But at least it should inspire you to experiment yourself. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. And then one more final time, and then we'll be done. Testing 1, 2, 3. So I hope to find more interesting parameters to work with. Maybe I'll continue with the FM on my own time, and if I find something a little bit more unusual and trippy for some music composition in the future, I will let you know. I'll go ahead and give it to you as a demo. But as per usual, thank you always for watching and listening. Always be on the lookout for some more sound experimentation and original music on my channel. And until I see you next, keep producing and preserving and experimenting with the art that you love, and I will catch you later. Thanks again.